For centuries, Native American tribes inhabited a continent of widely varying and often unforgiving climates, from the icy tundras of the Arctic to the dense forests of the Northeast and the dry deserts of the Southwest. These indigenous communities learned to survive some of the coldest and most challenging winters on Earth. This feat was not simply a matter of physical endurance, but an artful blend of sustainable practices, profound environmental understanding, and cultural resilience. Native Americans developed a remarkable system for securing food, preserving resources, and strengthening community bonds, ensuring survival through the brutal winter months. Even with minimal modern tools or technology, profound knowledge of the landscape, nature as a teacher and provider, Native American survival hinged on an intricate understanding of their environment's nuances. Each tribe honed its knowledge to adapt to the particular features of its territory, turning seemingly hostile surroundings into abundant sources of life. This knowledge was neither acquired quickly nor haphazardly. It was the result of millennia of observation, trial and error passed down through storytelling, ceremonial practices, and daily life. Native Americans were acutely aware of how the environment changed throughout the year, recognizing patterns in animal migrations, plant life cycles, and weather patterns. They learned not only where to find food, but also when to gather, hunt, or harvest with the least harm to the land. This deep connection to the land was often reflected in their spiritual practices. Many tribes believed the land itself was sacred, and that all its gifts, plants, animals, water, and soil were entrusted to them by the Creator. They approached survival with respect and humility, embracing practices that preserve the ecosystem for future generations. Native Americans saw themselves as part of nature's cycle, not as its rulers, which informed their sustainable practices and helped maintain ecological balance. This balance was central to their survival strategies, ensuring that each winter's hardship could be endured without depleting resources permanently. Regional adaptations, tailoring survival strategies to local climates. The diversity of climates across North America required equally diverse survival strategies. From the polar regions of the north to the woodlands and plains further south, each environment offered unique resources and challenges, necessitating different approaches to food sourcing, preservation, and community organization. Arctic and subarctic strategies. The Inuit, Yupik, and Cree, in the frigid Arctic and subarctic regions, where temperatures could plunge far below freezing. Tribes like the Inuit and Yukon relied almost exclusively on animals for survival. In such extreme cold, plant-based foods were scarce, and communities needed high-calorie, high-fat diets to maintain warmth and energy. They hunted seals, whales, and caribou, all rich in fats that provided both energy and insulation from the cold. Whale blubber and seal fat became staples of the Arctic diet, used not only as food but also as fuel for lamps, and even in traditional medicine. These northern tribes developed impressive methods for food storage, often taking advantage of the natural refrigeration provided by permafrost. Meat and fat could be buried or stored in pits, preserving them for months without spoil. The ground itself functioned as an early form of a refrigerator, allowing families to keep fish, seal meat, and other provisions fresh throughout the winter. Frozen food storage also played a role in community dynamics, as resources were often pooled to ensure everyone's needs were met, particularly during harsh weather. Plains and mountain tribes. Lakota, Cheyenne, and Ute. On the Great Plains, tribes like the Lakota and Cheyenne faced cold but open landscapes with relatively fewer forest resources. Here, large game animals like bison, elk, and deer were essential, providing meat, hides, bones, and sinew. The bison was the lifeblood of many plains tribes. Its meat was dried and turned into jerky, while hides were crafted into warm clothing, shelter coverings, and bedding. Bison bones and sinew were transformed into tools, weapons, and thread, proving that every part of the animal was used. Hunts often took place in the summer and fall, with large organized gatherings to ensure enough meat for the entire community. These hunts were both physically and spiritually significant. They required a great deal of coordination, and communities often held ceremonies before hunts to honor the animals and ensure a successful expedition. Tribes like the Ute in the Rocky Mountains faced similar conditions, relying on elk, deer, and small game supplemented by foraged plant foods that could be stored for winter. Eastern woodlands, the Iroquois and Algonquin. In the dense forests of the eastern woodlands, tribes like the Iroquois and Algonquin could rely on a mix of hunting, fishing, and agriculture. The Iroquois, known for their sophisticated agricultural practices, cultivated corn, beans, and squash, known as the Three Sisters. These crops were planted together in a unique form of companion planting that allowed each to benefit from the other. Corn provided a support for beans. Beans enriched the soil with nitrogen, and squash leaves shaded the ground to retain moisture. This system not only increased yield, but also minimized soil depletion, ensuring sustainable crops for future years. With an abundant forest surrounding them, these tribes had access to deer, rabbits, and wild turkeys, which they hunted throughout the year. In addition, rivers and lakes provided plentiful fish. To prepare for winter, these communities built granaries and storage pits to keep food safe from spoilage and wildlife. Communal longhouses allowed families to live together, share resources, and keep food stores secure and accessible. The Southwest Pueblo and Navajo. Agricultural innovations in the arid Southwest. Tribes like the Pueblo and Navajo faced unique challenges, including limited water and sparse vegetation. However, these communities devised innovative solutions. They built intricate irrigation systems, channeling precious water to grow corn, beans, and squash. Underground granaries and above-ground storage structures protected food from harsh weather and pests, keeping it safe and edible for months. The Navajo and Pueblo diets included small game, such as rabbits, which were easy to catch, and provided meat when other food sources were scarce. Foraging for wild plants, nuts, and berries supplemented these cultivated foods, adding variety and nutrients to their diet. A multifaceted approach to food acquisition, hunting, gathering, and agriculture. The ability to diversify food sources was one of the most remarkable aspects of Native American survival strategies. For many tribes, hunting and fishing formed the backbone of their winter diets. The meat provided not only but also materials for clothing, shelter, and tools, which were essential in the winter months. Hunting and fishing. The role of animal protein. Large animals like bison, elk, and caribou were essential sources of protein, fat, and raw materials. Plains tribes hunted bison in large-scale expeditions, ensuring a stockpile of meat for winter. Similarly, in the Arctic, the Inuit relied on seals and whales, both of which were rich in fat, necessary for survival in extreme cold. Fishing was also critical, particularly for coastal tribes like the Chinook and Sauk, who smoked and dried fish to store for the colder months. Fish was both abundant and reliable. Even when hunting game became difficult, coastal tribes often had specialized drying racks and smoking huts, allowing them to preserve large quantities of fish quickly and efficiently. Foraging and agriculture, sustaining balanced nutrition. Plant-based foods complemented animal products, adding essential vitamins, minerals, and carbohydrates to Native American diets. In the fall, nuts, berries, and root vegetables were foraged and carefully stored, often in underground pits or granaries. These foods provided carbohydrates and fiber, which balanced the protein-heavy diets obtained from hunting. Agricultural practices like the Three Sisters provided further stability, ensuring food security in times of scarcity. Cornmeal, beans, and squash were easy to store, versatile and nutrient-dense, which was crucial for winter sustenance. The art of food preservation, drying, smoking, fermentation, and perhaps the most crucial aspect of winter survival, was food preservation. Native Americans mastered techniques like drying, smoking, and fermenting, ensuring that their provisions would last through the long months without spoiling. Drying and smoking, the first line of defense against spoilage. Drying was among the oldest and most widely practiced preservation techniques. Thin strips of meat, fish, or plant foods were laid out in the sun or hung over fires to dehydrate. This process not only extended the food's shelf life, but also reduced its weight, making it easy to transport and store. Smoking provided an additional layer of protection by inhibiting bacterial growth and adding flavor. Pemmican, the ultimate survival food. For plains and northern tribes, pemmican was a revolutionary survival food. Made from dried ground meat, mixed with fat and sometimes berries, pemmican was incredibly calorie-dense and lasted for months without spoiling. Its high protein and fat content made it ideal for maintaining energy. In harsh conditions, pemmican was often carried by hunters traders and nomadic groups who needed portable, reliable food for long journeys. Fermentation and pickling, preserving nutrients and flavor. In addition to drying and smoking, some tribes practiced fermentation and pickling. The Inuit, for instance, buried fish or seal meat to ferment, which preserved the food and made it easier to digest. This technique provided essential nutrients, beneficial bacteria, and a distinct taste that became part of their culinary culture. Other tribes used pickling to preserve vegetables, combining salt, herbs, and roots to create lasting food stores. The Three Sisters, a symbol of sustainability and nutritional harmony. Agricultural communities relied on the Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash, not only for sustenance, but as a reflection of their values. This intercropping method symbolized harmony, sustainability, and interdependence, teaching respect for natural systems, and community support. Corn provided starch, beans delivered protein, and squash offered essential vitamins and minerals, creating a balanced and nourishing diet. Winter celebrations, rituals, and community strength. Winter was a time for gathering, storytelling, and reinforcing cultural bonds. While food was crucial for physical survival, it also served as a centerpiece for cultural continuity. Harvest festivals in the fall allowed communities to give thanks and celebrate their connection to the land, often involving feasts, dances, and storytelling. These rituals reinforced communal bonds and expressed gratitude for nature's bounty. When winter arrived, communal meals and gatherings were vital for maintaining morale and passing down knowledge. Elders shared stories of past generations, survival techniques, and cultural values, instilling a sense of resilience and unity that helped communities face the hardships of winter together. The legacy of resilience, lessons in sustainability and adaptability. Native American winter survival techniques embody an enduring wisdom that resonates today. Their strategies rooted in respect for nature, communal resource sharing, and sustainable practices offer insights into resilience and environmental stewardship. From ingenious hunting techniques and food preservation methods to the cultivation of the Three Sisters, Native Americans proved that survival is not merely about enduring the cold, but thriving through knowledge, unity, and respect for the natural world. Their legacy serves as a timeless reminder of the strength that comes from living in harmony with one's environment